Today we are building walls in the dining room and the living room. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my $7,000 mansion full remodel and restoration. If you're new to the project, bienvenidos, welcome. This is what we've done up to this point so far. We demoed the attic, spray foamed the attic, tore up the hardwood floors upstairs, tore up the hardwood floors downstairs, removed all the lath and plaster upstairs and downstairs, removed the old insulation in the attic upstairs and downstairs. We demoed the kitchen, we demoed the master staircase, we removed the antique radiators, we demoed the basement, we built a new kitchen floor, we built a new kitchen wall, we tore out the chimney, built a new living room floor, built a new pantry and bathroom floor, tore out the big creepy black tank in my basement, built a new kitchen support beam, built a new dining room floor support beam, built a new kitchen ceiling, demoed some of the basement foundation, poured a new footing and foundation in the basement, built a new wall in the basement, and built new beams holding up the basement ceiling. So this brings us to today. We are going to be working on the main floor of the house. We are going to be framing a wall right here for the dining room. We're going to be framing a wall right there underneath the stairs. We're going to be tearing out this old wall right here, and we are going to be building a brand new wall for the living room right over here. So we got our work cut out for us today. Before we get started, I have one request. If you enjoy our content and you want to help support our channel, the best thing you can do is just watch the video completely 100% all the way through. It does wonders with the YouTube algorithm. So thank you guys so much. Okay, let's get to work. Wall number one that we're going to be building today is the one that's going to be going right next to the edge of the staircase. One of the challenges with remodeling a 100-year-old house is you don't know what you're going to run into. We're 10 minutes into building this wall, and we got the double plate sitting up on top, and then we did a measurement down from that end of the plate down to the bottom plate, and then from this end down, and our floor upstairs is basically doing this. So Roman's gonna get the laser set up right now. We're gonna see exactly how far off we are, and we might have to get the floor jack in on this end to jack this side up, so that when we get everything level, we'll build our wall, which will correct our problem upstairs.
Deja vu. That's why this is exactly why we stopped a week ago and moved down to the basement, fixed the first floor. Now we're building the same, thinking we're gonna build the same wall again. Now we have to address the second floor, but I think that will be much quicker. 30-minute deal, and we should be moving with the wall.
We got the laser sitting dead center of the house, so Roman's gonna get a measurement on that outside plate so we can see the height there, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing over on this side of the house. Well, we can't really do it there. Roman will figure that out. But then we'll be able to take the difference from what that is, where the laser's hitting, versus where it is in the middle, and that'll give us how much this is sinking.
You did it.
Congratulations. Don't pass back. Oh, it feels good. It feels so good to be right one time.
We took a big 8x8 beam that we found down in the basement. We mounted it up on the ceiling. We have the bottle jack on the floor. Now we are going to take a board going from the top of the bottle jack to the bottom of that beam. We'll crank up the bottle jack, and then that beam that's spanning these 5 floor joists, it's going to push them up. We're going to lift it about an inch and a quarter, and then we'll have our floor set at the height that we want. We'll build our wall, and then our wall will hold it at that position. Then we can take out the jack, and then everything will be perfect.
Austin is going to start jacking up the bottle jack, and I'll go up and be watching the laser line.
So for round 2, what we're going to do, instead of having the 6x6 beam up here that when we were lifting up on it, it was basically just making like a frowny face in the middle of it, we now have a micro lam, or an LVL as Roman likes to say. This is a much stronger board, and we're spanning more floor joists with it now. And so we're gonna try to run a jack on that end, we're gonna try to run a jack behind me, and hopefully now that should help it be a little bit stronger, keep it from bowing out. And then we'll get our wall built underneath it, and once the wall's built, then we'll be able to take everything out, and then it will be held where it's supposed to be. At least that's the theory, and we're gonna give it a try. And we have to be very specific with where we are putting these jacking beams at. This one is sitting right over the center wall of the house, so it's sitting right over concrete foundation. And then this jack on this end is is sitting right over our center big LVL beam that we have running under the floor, and we have a jack right underneath that as well. So these are very supported points. We don't want to go in the middle because if we do some jacking right here, we'll actually probably end up just pushing the floor down instead of pushing the ceiling up. We want to lift things up, not push things down. But that's how it would work in the perfect world. That first jack right there, well, we have a little problem in the basement. This is the wall that it's supposed to be sitting on, which would transfer straight down to the center of the earth. However, we have a header board right here. We're located right in the middle of that. So we're gonna put a jack down here to hold this up. We're a little short.
How short is it?
Blade, half blade.
Shin worth?
Yeah.
We engage in full circuit.
Back up to upstairs.
Back up to upstairs. Justin, another 1/4 inch on your side. 1/2 inch for Austin. Where the jacks are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a splinter. Oh.
Justin taking out our temporary wall because we no longer need it, and it's a good feeling.
While we're building this wall, I'm board cutter guy in the kitchen. Austin's tearing down the temporary wall that's holding up right now. Roman's bringing boards over, setting them up in place, and Justin's measuring guy, and he's on top of the ladder duties. So we're a smooth, efficient machine right now.
We have so much pressure with our bottle jack, so when we let it go, we're gonna lose some of the elevation that we gained because of these studs are gonna bow in. So these boards are gonna tie them all together and prevent from them bowing in. And I'll show you the good example of overloaded stud. See how the stud is like a string? So we don't want that. So that board is gonna help keep them together and not do that.
Yeah, you can actually see that one bowed out at the bottom.
That's overloaded stud.
So when Austin takes that bottle jack out, then all the weight will settle onto this wall like it's supposed to, and then we'll be able to take off those cross pieces that Roman just put on.
Paul can cut me one more to go here.
We're a couple hours in and we've made some serious progress after that whole jacking around debacle bit. We now have that wall done. We are going to start right along this line. We're going to be making another wall to right here. And then from right there, over at an angle to that wall, is where our doorway is going to be. This is going to be the pantry. I'm standing in the dining room right now. So we are now working on this dining room wall.
Trade school in Cole, currently teaching Austin how to do stuff.
Sink it all the way?
Yep. Perfect. We now got everything framed up and we are ready to start framing in a spot for where the door is going to be. We just don't know how tall the doors are going to be yet. So we are going to go look at the doors that we had down here in the house before. We're going to measure how high they were and then we're going to build them exactly that way.
Are they? 7'2".
little bit better visualization on how everything's going to lay out. So this room is going to be the kitchen all the way to that big set of studs right there. And then we are going to have the pantry on this 45-degree wall. So this is going to be the opening. We're going to have a 4-foot wide door right here. It's a nice big door. It's going to come out into the room. Well, I don't know which way it's going to open yet, but it's going to be opening this way. That way it's going to give us plenty of room. And here we're going to have a 7'2" doorway opening, just like what the house used to have. And then this room is going to go 10 feet from right here on the inside of the studs all the way down to here. And then we're going to have a wall in the back. And then we will have a 5 by 9.5 bathroom with a toilet and a sink for the main floor of the house down here. But we have not built that wall in between there yet. So now that we got everything built through here, we need to pop through these studs over to where we have this wall. Justin's got the laser down right now. He's getting some measurements, and we are going to figure out where we are going to be laying the wall that is going to be the divider between the dining room and the living room. I decided to have the pantry door be laying at a 45-degree angle, so that way when I walk through, I can just walk through in a nice straight line, just like this. Otherwise, if it was squared off at a right angle, I would have to come all the way out to right here. And then we'd be going around a nice sharp corner. So we wanted to open it up big, so it's a nice smooth straight shot through there. Getting this wall up in here now, it is kind of amazing how much space that eats up out of the dining room, but it's also a little bit deceptive right now because we have this set of temporary walls in behind me, and so the actual dining room wall is going to be way over here where we're going to be building our new wall. So we're gonna open up like 6-7 more feet from what we got here, so it's a little deceptive, but it's not quite as big as when you're sitting there looking at it with no walls, but it's still really big rooms. We're gonna have more than enough room to be doing what we want to do.
We have the wild Justin in his non-natural habitat. He's using a piece of technology. This is different from the 30-year-old stuff that he's used to using. So you can just hear all the gears in his brain just being absolutely bound up into a big old metal mush pile. But he's figuring it out. Look at this.
The way we're coming up with our calculation of where the wall is going to be, we are going to have the stairs right here. So that board on the floor is going to signify the left edge of the stairway. So we are going to have a layer of plywood along the stairs. So that way, if somebody falls down the stairs or something, they can't accidentally punch a hole through this wall. Then we will have our sheetrock on top of that. So we're going to have about this much taken up by that. Then we're going to have some skirting board on the edge of the stairs themselves, plus the 4 feet wide of the stairs, plus another layer of plywood, sheetrock. So that's going to put us about somewhere right here. And then we would like a 4-foot hallway off the side of the stairs. So that way we can get through over to there. And then at that 4-foot point, which is right where the laser is sitting right now, that is where we are going to have the edge of our wall. Finding out where this wall is going to be located is the easiest thing that we've had to do so far. So we are going to have stairs over on that side. Then we're going to have hallway. Then we're going to have wall. This wall is going to be almost 25 feet long. So the next thing we needed to do is figure out where our doorway is going to be into the living room. Now we have 25 feet of wall space here. I would kind of like to have the television center of the room, which center is this pole right behind me. And if we do that, we can't really have a door center. I don't really want a door like right underneath the edge of the television screen either. So I'm thinking a door over there in that corner. But then the more I think about it, I'm like, you know, a 25-foot long room with a door on one end. First off, if anybody's sitting here in the middle, then everybody who walks in is going to be walking right in front of you, between you and the TV. And then also, that's like one point of entry to get in it and out, which I would like to. So we're going to do a doorway over there, and then we're also going to do a doorway over on this end. So it's going to stick out a foot from the edge of the house, and then we're going to have a 5-foot wide opening, and then we're going to have like 13.5 feet of wall in the middle. We'll have another 5-foot opening here, and then there will be another little foot stub wall where it ties into the actual wall over here. So we'll have opening there, we'll have an opening there, which is going to be really nice, because then we'll be able to get into the living room from coming right down the stairs, right at the bottom of the stairs. We'll be able to get in from the hallway access. And then also on this side, if we come in through the kitchen and we come in through the living room, then we can come right in. And then we will have doors over there where those big windows are. So if someone comes in from outside and they want to come into the living room or talk to somebody in the living room and then shoot right back outside, that's an easy access up there versus having to wander through the whole house. So we're just trying to make things extremely practical at the same time, and I mean, how annoying is it when you're sitting watching something and people are walking in front of you the whole time? So a door on each side of the room, that alleviates that problem. The next problem we're trying to figure out is a little bit more of a tricky one. That is getting rid of these posts that come down right in the middle of the living room. We used to have the chimney right here, and so these posts work because they were hiding inside the wall. But now we want to get all of this opened up, and so we know what we need to do to get rid of the post. We need a header board. We already have one right there. It used to go half the length of the room. Now, the floor joists above me span 25 feet across, so absolutely a requirement that we have a header board right in the middle to help hold it up and keep the floor from sagging out. And also, if somebody's up there doing this, you'd be able to move the floor if you don't have something supporting up the middle. So what we have to do is take a header board and go all the way from up top to where we are going to be building our new wall that divides the living room from the dining room. And then we are going to have to make some jacks that come down to the floor to hold up that beam. Now here is the problem. Right where we have these boards on the floor, we have a beam in the basement. Just like that header board right there, we have the exact same thing running right here in the basement. So underneath of that is where that is located. And then we have the center wall of the house located right underneath of this 2x4. Our jacks are going to come down right between the two, so we have absolutely nothing bridging that span. So we need to figure out how to build something. I'm thinking an I-beam that will be able to set on top of that beam, and it will be able to set on top of this beam. It will bridge the gap right between the two, and then we will be able to take our jacks coming down that are going to be holding up the header board that goes right there, and then we can plant that right in the middle of that I-beam. The post that holds up this beam is literally right here, so that I-beam would be sitting literally 3 inches away from the post, and then that wall over here, we can basically do anything we want to it because it's a fully stick framed in wall that sits on top of a concrete foundation down below, so we can beef that up absolutely as much as we possibly want to. So that is one of the problems. The second problem is the way they have these floor joists running right above. We are going to have a header board going right here for all the floor joists that go this direction. The problem is, if our jack for that header is going to be located right there, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floor joists that run this way, that are not going to be picked up by the header board that runs this direction. So what we are going to have to do is have our jacks come down. We are going to have to cantilever a header board that's going to go all the way from the exterior wall across, touching this header board. It's actually going to hang right off the side of it, but all of our bearing point is going to be through that jack. We should be able to handle these 5 floor joists, especially because there's going to be a closet above them. So it's not like there's a lot of weight sitting up there, but we need something that's not going to move and is going to be able to hold it up. So we got that figured out, and then over here, we are going to have another header board that's going to go from that corner all the way over to tying into this wall. So we are going to have another set of jacks that come down, which is not the end of the world because we are right over the wall right here. So we're going to have an excellent bearing point. But then the header board that is going to these floor joists is going to tie into the side of that. So we've had some thinking to do. There are going to be multiple plies of LVLs put together, so they're going to be extremely strong. Someone came in and designed all that stuff. The only thing they didn't design was that little piece that we're going to have sticking over here, but we think by doing some designing here, having the big I-beam down below, having a 4-foot piece hanging over with a 3-ply 11 and 7/8 inch LVL, we will be more than ample for holding up literally a closet floor. So we've not just been building walls today, we've also been doing some heavy thinking on just figuring out exactly what we are going to do. We don't want anything to settle out over time. We don't want floors collapsing. We don't want walls cracking. We just want to build it once and have everything be super strong and last another 200 years. So we're just slowly wading into this area, but it's extremely interesting. There's just a lot of thought process behind it. Just to help visualize a little bit better on where the beam is located in the basement that we are going to be bridging the I-beam across to the center foundation of the house is, so that way we can set the jack right on top of that I-beam. I'm going to go straight below where I'm standing right now into the basement. This is right below where we were just standing upstairs. So we have the beam running right in the middle of the floor over here. And then this wall is the center foundation of the house. It sits on top of this concrete footing. So what we are wanting to do is take an I-beam, and then we will be able to set it on top of this beam, and then we will span it over to there, and then we can rebuild from that plate down to the concrete wall with whatever we want as a filler in there. We could fill the whole thing with 2x6s if we wanted to, and then that's going to transfer that weight right down to the center of the earth. And then this pole that's sitting right here, since we'd have the I-beam right there, that's a great bearing point, then we'd be able to transfer all that weight down to there as well. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Gives you a little bit better visual. Our jack would be sitting somewhere about right there, so an I-beam would be able to hold that up nicely, and then that would allow us not to have to put in another beam sitting right here. And then we've also ran into our first little mistake. It's not really the end of the world at all. We'll make it work. It's just not quite what we had in mind. We have our pantry door sitting on the 45-degree angle. This wall is just a divider wall. It runs right with the floor joist, so it is not load bearing. But this corner point right here, we are going to have a header board right here. So we are going to have some jacks that run down right below this to the center foundation of the house. That bearing point for those jacks is right here, which is above our header board that we have in the basement. So we would like it to be over the top of where those actual studs are versus the header board, because we just designed this for what the load of the floor is going to be with people on it and tables and furniture, not literally holding up the wall. So we had to put these in right here, which we put them in earlier as our jacking point, but the problem is that is not sitting on top of the wall that we poured. However, we do have a 12-inch thick footer right there with a double layer of rebar, and we are going to be pouring 6 inches of concrete basically from this dirt grade up. So it's going to be like about up to there. So we will have probably 8 to 10 inches of concrete sitting here. So we're simply just going to have to extend this wall out, put a plate. So the only really issue with it is now we just have a ground contact treated board sitting on the floor in the basement versus this little wall that would have got it up off the floor a couple inches. But we are going to have drains in every room. We're going to have water mitigation systems around the outside of the house with French drains. We're also going to have them running under the floor here inside of the basement. So we should never have water on the floor here unless somebody spills something, obviously. So that's why it's a problem, but it's not really a problem. It's just a little bit of a workaround, and it is going to narrow up our doorway about a foot. So we're going to have just under a 5-foot wide opening down here into this room in the basement, which we are planning on putting a bathroom back here, a toilet and a sink, and then just running right off the corner of this, which sticks out to about here, over here anyway. So we'd basically be doing the exact same thing right here, and then both of our doors would match, being 5 foot instead of 6 and 6. So that's really the first little problem that we've ran into, which, like I said, it's not the end of the world. We have an easy workaround. It's going to work, and it's going to be more than strong enough. We are now ready to build the wall that is going to divide between the dining room and the living room. So we got to do a little bit of messing around with those jacks, got a little bit of preparing to do up above, getting nails and stuff out, and then we will be laying down some fresh wood. Justin and Austin got their string line down. They're going to set this on the ground here in a second. He's going to snap it, and then it's got paint on it or chalk, and so it's going to leave a nice blue line on the floor, and then that is what we are going to use to follow to build our wall. We're running into another 100-year-old house issue. The wall that Justin is standing in front of, it's not perfectly straight up and down. It's kind of tilting out like this. So when we're trying to set our laser level to build the new wall that's going to be between me and Justin, it's not going to match the wall behind it. So we're just trying to figure out what to do, because when we get drywall on, you're going to notice that if one wall's leaning and one wall's straight up and down. But that's a problem for another day. So we're just going to build the new wall, and we'll figure that other part out when we get there.
Just put more mud. Say hi to Justin. What? He's putting the bottom plate. Then we're gonna do the top two plates. Also, just like yesterday, we'll have to double check what's going on with our floor so we can check if it's one plane, if it's level. So before we build our wall, we make sure the floor is fine. We need to move the laser, shoot the plane vertically up here so we can get the measurement for our top plate up above. But this is good.
Right on, right there.
Flip when you drive screws.
We now got that little wall built and we're ready to build the big one. Well, we kind of are. If we follow the screw lines on the floor with our OSB sheeting, we can see where our floor joists are below us. So those are the bearing points of where we'd want the wall to be sitting. Well, where that wall ends is where our long wall is going to start, and it falls right between two floor joists. So we only have 3/4 inch OSB sheeting holding up this wall. If we were just building this wall for a day, a month, a year, we'd probably be fine. But over time, this OSB sheeting is going to settle out, so we need to go down into the basement and do a little bit of work on the ceiling. So our wall is going to fall right between these two floor joists. So we are simply just gonna take a 2x8. We're gonna cut it the exact width from one floor joist to the next, and then we're gonna put blocking in through this whole path here where the wall is going to be. So we're gonna have 2x8, 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 2x8. And then the wall will sit on that. It'll be nice and strong, and we don't have to worry about it settling out.
I'll be your cut guy.
Sure.
I always wanted to be your cut guy. Justin just removed the only piece of blocking we made because then we saw the issue. We have to have those blocks for us to keep moving and building stuff above us, but we cannot have them when we have our beam, I-beam, metal, steel beam, being slid over through there. So those blocks are our temporary solution. So when the beam will come in, we can simply just knock them out, slide the beam in, and the beam will be working instead of those blocks. Justin and I need some 2x4s that are laying in the shop.
Stuff's starting to take a little bit more of a shape now. Looking into the pantry, I did lay down some 2x4s on the back wall. That is going to be where the divider wall is. So that back part is going to be a bathroom with a sink and a toilet in it. And then this front part is going to be the actual pantry area, and then we'll have the door right here. Going over here, we are making a lot of progress on this back wall. This is going to be one of the entrances that is going to be going into the living room. We still need to build the other one over there, but we cannot finish this wall out right here yet until we get this header board in place. So if we look over here, Justin and Roman got that header board up. So we are going to be building a header board from right here, tying into that one, touching the bottom of these floor joists, and then that will connect right here to this corner part of the house. So that is going to be our one header board. Once we get that one up, we will then be able to get a measurement from that header board all the way over to that one. So then we'll know how long of a header board we need there. So this header board is going to tie right into the one that is not here yet. Then once we have that all figured out where that's going to be, we will be able to finish continuing out with this wall. With all the new walls that we just built, we tore out the old walls that were there because the wood wasn't really sufficient for what we are wanting to ask of it for the next 100, 200 years. So we got the big pile outside. We joke about this going to Roman's chicken coop, but we're being serious about that. He is legitimately building a chicken coop. In order for him to get the wood home, he's got to use his truck. He drove his truck to work the other day, and when he went to leave, it just would not turn on. So we're gonna mess with Roman's truck for a little bit, see if we can figure out what's going on. So that way we'll be able to get some of this wood out of here, because we're starting to get a big pile.
Surprise! I'm super pleased, happy, ecstatic. This wheel actually dropped down because it never happens in the old pickups. It's all rusted, especially in the Midwest.
Roman, it won't start. It doesn't have a flat tire. What are you taking the wheel off for?
Taking the wheel off. Oh. So the part that I'm after that usually fails on these wonderful trucks, it's actually a good truck, is the fuel pump module. It's a little thing that...
It's a little thing that makes your truck not start when it doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's not a fuel pump.
If it's fuel pump, we have to take the box of his truck off so that we can get to the top of his gas tank, or we have to drop his gas tank, which, how full of gas are you?
I'm never full, and this time I am full.
So we don't have to drop the gas tank. We would much rather not, because for whatever reason they put the fuel pump right in the top of the gas tank. So typically you have to drop the gas tank, but we had the telehandler, so we could take the box off, which would be easier. But hopefully it's just a fuel module.
So this is it, the fuel pump module. I'll put the new one in, so we'll see if it's it.
How much was this part?
$50, I think. I hope it's the right package. I didn't check what's inside of it. Yep, there it is. I really hope this is it.
Me too. Yeah, I'm not hearing the fuel pump engage. We're thinking it's fuel pump, so we just pulled Roman's truck over there so that way it's out of the way, and then we have nice area to get access in through here. He's gonna get the bed liner pulled out of the inside of his truck. That way when his fuel pump comes in, we can just flip the bed off and put the new fuel pump in. So now we are back. We got one more header board to put up. Well, technically two, but one more, and then we gotta get one more ordered. Setting up this header board is a pretty simple process. Roman and Justin got this temporary wall set up. Roman is currently building on right to the end of it right now. Once we have the temporary wall set up in place, we will be able to remove this other temporary wall that's currently holding up those 3 floor joists. And then we need to climb up and measure from right there out on that floor joist, 5 1/4 inches. We do that on every single one of them. We will cut out those 5 1/4 inch pieces. That is exactly where our header board will go. We'll build the header board, we'll slide it up there, and then we'll have to take joist hangers and we will hang them right off the edges of those floor joists. So it will look just like this when we get completely done.
That's right.
floor joist, the notched out part. And so now we have a mark. It's right on the left side of where that notch is gonna be. Then we're gonna cut it out just like that. So that little slot right there is where the header board is going to sit. So you can see all of our vertical lines. That's what we're gonna be cutting on. 5 3/4 inches. So we have a bunch of them to go. The beam that we're going to be putting in is 5 1/2 inches wide. We cut out a 5 3/4 inch slot. So now we should be able to slide it up just like that.
Not too much clearance, just enough.
That's really heavy.
And it's only 1 foot.
That's 1 foot, and we have like a 16-footer right here.
Back to the T30 subject. Look at this nail. It's even thicker. She's a little bit shorter. But some of these boards, there are so many nails that I always joke like, these guys had thousands of nails and just free time that they were bored. Literally just, and the board that doesn't need so many nails, it's like driven 15, 20 nails. So I'm grateful they actually didn't have nailers, because I can only imagine what would happen with the nailer.
Our floor joists are cutting out just fine. The problem that we're now running into is with the nails that were holding the floor joists up. Since this is a intersection of floor joists right here, they have a wall built right on top of this. So you take a nail like this one right here, comes right off the backside of the floor joist. Not a problem. But these ones that are at the top, like this one, it's actually what's used to hold the wall down above us. So when I hit into the bottom of that, it just runs it right into the bottom of the wall. So we're gonna have to cut these ones out. At least on the bigger ones we will. Smaller ones, we might be able to grab them with some vice grips and yank the heads through. But with the T30 nails, no way.
Grinder will be cleaner. Almost all our floor joists are cut, except for 3 right above me. We just simply forgot to pull out the string line to snap them all. So I'm just gonna laser them and get all our lines.
We got our slots made up above for our beam to sit up inside of. We are all good to go there. Now, we need to have a weight transfer distribution system set up on this exterior wall. So everything that big beam is going to be carrying, it needs to be able to transfer it right down on the end. So we're gonna take out this board, we're gonna take out this board, and we have to take out all the spray foam that's in right here, get everything cleared out, so that way we can build a new system of jacks to hold up our header board. When I'm speaking terminology, I'm always getting confused because Roman calls a jack, the part that holds up the end of the header board, a jack. Justin calls them a cripple. I've been around Justin my whole life, so I want to say cripple, but Roman always corrects us. It's a jack, not a cripple. And then Justin's just like, it is what it is. Jack, cripple, whatever you want to call it, is this thing right here. So these 3 boards are cripples or jacks. So our header board sits right on top of, those 3 cripples or jacks, and it distributes our load down into the foundation of the house.
So what is cripple then?
Technically speaking, Roman, cripple was considered to be a derogatory term in the 1970s, and so they replaced the word with handicap. So technically speaking, we should be calling these handicaps.
Those are studs.
Technically speaking, we should be calling these handicaps.
Those are jacks.
technically speaking, Justin should be calling these handicaps.
Okay.
All right, we're getting down to the bottom of this. We got a windowsill right here. The top little short ones and the bottom little short ones. Those are the cripples. And then we have our header board. But Roman, I'm not seeing anything about a jack. They're calling it a trimmer in this circumstance. So we are now changing terminology. We're not installing jacks anymore, we're installing trimmers. And we need to notify Justin as soon as possible.
Call him.
Hello?
It's a trimmer.
Huh?
We're not calling them jacks anymore. They're actually called trimmers.
Tremors?
Yep.
Okay. Where'd we come up with that?
Well, Roman was getting in a fist fight with me about it, so I looked up proper terminology, and a jack doesn't even exist, so we can now rub that in his face.
Nice. Okay.
All right. We'll let you get back to it.
Later.
Bye. Justin liked that. I don't think I've ever heard Justin laugh in a conversation before. Tearing out these boards and this foam is a one-guy job because you're kind of here in the corner, not a lot of room to get two sets of hands in there. So Roman and I are going to go grab the LVLs that we're going to be hanging up for the header boards as well, so I can be getting those measured and cut while Roman is tearing this out.
Where was the knee? Now this place is all prepped and cleaned up. It's ready to take two more studs, one on this side, one on another. And the header is gonna be right in here. 3 of them. Ready for the beam?
Ready as I'll ever be. It's nice to get stuff in and out. We got our first header board up into place. We got the floor jacking, holding everything up nice and tight to the subfloor that is above us. Roman got his laser sitting right there on that little piece of wood. And then we have it running all the way down to the other side, and we already had a board we measured of where we thought level was going to be, but we are just a little bit off. So Roman's gonna take the Sawzall and he's gonna cut right to that green line. So about a 1/4 inch off. I'll give you a little bit better visual here. We want the green laser line to the bottom of the header board. We want this gap right here to stay the same the entire way down the header board. But if we look down it, we can see that laser line starts to drop. And then once we get about a little over halfway, then it actually gets below. So Roman's got his lines down there. You can see the pencil marks. We're gonna cut those trimmers to that line, and then that will lower this header down. And then we should be able to maintain this laser gap between the bottom of the header the whole way.
They are trimmers.
I called it a trimmer.
Did you?
Yes.
I heard cripples.
I mean, you heard wrong.
I guess I have paranoia at this point.
Roman took out his screws on his end, and we lowered the jack down after we got the trimmer trimmed down a little bit. Now look at our laser line. Much more even. It just dips down just a little bit more over there. We're rocking 5/8 of an inch gap right here. In at Roman's end, we're at 1/2 inch. But over a 16-foot period, we are gonna call that close enough because we also have to make sure our floor joists are level up top, and we're having some issues down there, so we're just gonna kind of happy medium it.
So on the ladder first.
Remember when we cut these floor joists at 5 3/4 inches earlier? Well, I'd say we about did it just stinking right. Look at that. We are touching it. We got big beam in place. I guess we'll suck it in a little bit here when we start getting some more screws into it. But man, look at that. Good job, Roman.
Thank you. It was close. You couldn't see it, but this LVL had a little crown, so it was bowed, where it doesn't go, so I had to hug it, squeeze it together so it would shove in. Thankfully it went in.
We now have our big dining room header board up. We need to get our joist hanger to actually tie it to this header board over here. And now that we have this up, we can visualize a little bit better. In order for us to get rid of this pole that's in the middle of the living room and get rid of that header that's currently there, we are going to put in a big long header from outside wall, and it's going to tie right into the side of this header board that we just put up. And then we will have the trimmers coming down right inside of the wall right here.
Sorry, Cole, I don't mean to interrupt. Trimmers, you mean jacks?
Jacks, trimmers, cripples, whatever you want to call them. These things right here. That hold the header, that board that runs down. Trimmer, jack, cripple. We'll just call it that. But now that we got that header board up, we cannot yet pull out that temporary wall because we need to hang some floor joist hangers just like what's right above my head on this beam. So once we get those hung on the other side of the dining room, then we will be able to pull out that temporary wall. But unfortunately, I think we're gonna run out of daylight before we're gonna be able to get to those floor joist hangers. So Roman's gonna be shoving in some more screws up on the header beam that we just put in. And then he also needs to make a trimmer right here on this corner. And we're gonna have to do some funky cutting to make it work because it's like a 22-degree angle off of the back side. But Roman's gonna be the genius behind that one, so we'll let him figure that out. And then last but not least, we have the big floor joist hanger that we need to put up here for the actual beam, the double wide one that's got like 30 nail holes inside of it. We gotta put that up there because that's gonna be what's bearing the weight. We don't just wanna leave screws in there forever because that could potentially give out after like 25 years, and you don't want a 500-pound beam falling on your head when you're just walking through.
The triple beam is finally screwed together. It's all one nice solid chunk of wood that works as one whole system. Then second thing on the list from the three that I want to do today. So first was to screw the beam together. Second, put the jack. Trimmer is a new term. And the third one is put the hanger on the end. So I say it is time to put a jack. Now the stud being where it's at, or jack, actually, you see this corner is sticking out, so we'll have to do some art to this board. We're gonna put two marks so we can run it through the table saw and just simply take this corner off. Very easy, but all these little things add up and make your day much longer than you thought. I know not everyone has a table saw in their arsenal of tools. I don't even have a table saw at home. But thankfully Justin has one here. It's going to be much easier to use that tool. But if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. You could still do it with hand circular saw. It will just take you a little longer and wouldn't be as quick and comfortable. After all, looks like I could have done it faster with my circular saw, but that's because I never used Justin's table saw. It's really nice one. So if you guys are looking for one to buy, DeWalt 8.5 inch, tiny but mighty. It's a real nice table saw. So the goal of cutting this corner off was to match these surfaces. So this stud, when we put drywall, would lay flat on this corner and they would meet right here on this new edge that we created by trimming it. So we got our header screwed together. We got the stud jack put in place. Now we have a hanger to put in. The last thing for today.
I'm super happy with the progress that we got done today. We got the pantry all framed up. Just look how we got a big wide open doorway now. We can actually visualize how the floor plan is going to be laid out in the house. We also got the wall underneath the staircase all laid out. Got everything leveled up. That was kind of a royal pain, but it was worth the squeeze to do it because now we have a level ceiling upstairs, so level floor. It's nice to walk on. We got our big beam up here. Roman and I kind of fought that a little bit, but good news is we got it done, and as good as news as we've had on everything else, that I'm not going to call it bad news, but we didn't quite get as far as we wanted with the wall in the living room. We wanted to build this all the way across. However, we have to stop right here because we need to do some rebuilding in the basement for supports, so that way our trimmer that's going to come down off of our big header board that's going to be right above us has a place where it can actually transfer load down to the center of the earth. Because right now it falls on a 2x8 and OSB, and it will settle out, which is what we don't want. So we need to do some reinforcing down there before we're able to get this finished out. But all in all, we had a super stinking good day. We're tired, so this is all we got for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.